Hello everyone, Justin Stivers, owner of the probate law firm here, today joined by Melinda Grimaldi with Grimaldi Law Office, the law firm of Melinda Grimaldi.
Yeah.
Excited to be here today. I've known Melinda for 2 years, I think something like that. Melinda is a amazing real estate attorney, closing title attorney in Hollywood, Florida. And I'm excited because Melinda shares a passion of mine, which is focusing on one or two things. As you all know, the probate law firm, we do pretty much one thing, probate law. And Melinda is a big proponent of that, we were discussing niching, however you pronounce it, but really kind of just focusing in on one or two things. And she does a lot for teaching that subject to realtors, and I know a lot of our audience, a lot of our business, we work with realtors and attorneys, so I thought it would be great to speak with her and learn a little bit about what she has to say and how beneficial that can be for your business. But where I always like to start, where I kind of want to start, is tell us a little bit about how you got into the legal world, and I know you've been practicing for a couple of years now. So what's
10 years?
10 years. All right. So you've made it.
Been around the block.
You've done it. Yeah. So how has your business changed, and how has maybe shifting a focus from doing a couple different things to now primarily title impacted your business? But I guess how did you get into law, and we'll start there.
Okay, so my family's always been in real estate ever since I was a kid in many different ways, commercial, residential, all that stuff. So as I was getting older, I realized, well, the best way for me to help take care of my family's business is to be a lawyer. That's how law school idea came into my head. And then from there, went to undergrad. I already knew I was going to go to law school, went to law school, thought I wanted to litigate. So I had a different track, was on trial teams and all that. And eventually, when I went off on my own, when I graduated, I went off on my own right away. I graduated during the recession, and there wasn't really too many opportunities that were what I thought worth my time, because I always wanted to have my own firm, and I didn't want to do certain things. So those certain things were what was available at the time. So I opened my firm right away, and I started off doing divorce work, and I did a few other things, and then started doing. I fought real estate for a little while in the beginning, probably because my parents were telling me to do real estate, because they thought that's something that was natural for us, and you should be doing title work and real estate work. In the end, I had so many contacts and connections that I started to get that work referred to me, so I slowly in the first few years started doing some real estate work, and then started writing title after a couple of years. And then realized actually it's where I was very natural at. It kind of fit my personality. I really liked doing real estate. It's what I knew. So I went from having multiple things in my practice to starting to narrow it down, divorce and real estate. So that was my first niche. Well, I would like to know what you guys think about, is it niche versus niche? Post that in the comments. We were having this discussion before. How do you pronounce it? How do I pronounce it? I don't know. I change it, depends on who I'm talking to. So is it niche or niche? In any event, was my first niching down to that I did in my firm. And then once I started to have a family, or planning to have a family, I'm like, I don't want to go into court anymore. I kind of want that. And as my real estate was growing, I'm like, I need to be at the office, and going to court was kind of taking me out of it. And I realized I didn't want to go to court anymore. So I removed divorce practice entirely after a couple years, and then thought that to grow, I needed to add something else. So I added estate planning, and I added probate, and I added business, and kind of was doing a bit of a mishmash, always with my biggest focus being real estate. But in the end, that's what I thought I needed, right?
So how long? So from when you started in 2008, you went right out of law school.
2009, yeah.
2009, started your own firm. How many different types of law were you doing then?
Probably, I've done, I would say, 5.
Okay. And so this was actually I was at an event last night and speaking with a younger attorney. He just started his own practice, and he was doing a bunch of different practices as well. And I just when you start out, you kind of you got to feed the family. You've got to feed the firm. Pay the bills and everything. So you kind of take what comes in the door. But we were talking. I said, so every time you have a new case, you have to at some point create new engagement letters. It's hard to systematize processes. So what made you decide to maybe eliminate some of those practices? Was it you realized you didn't like some of that area of law and so you decided to do something else, or what kind of prompted the shift?
So with divorce work, definitely I didn't want to do it anymore because it was actually a good source of income for me. I didn't think it was good for my health anymore.
Right.
I didn't want the stress of going to court. The older I got, the more the stress got to me. So I got that out. And the other stuff, it's not that I don't do them. I do them to support a real estate transaction sometimes now. But the problem with those things now is that I get stuck doing them because my teams and my systems are all real estate. So they're really not very lucrative for me to do, which is why I usually refer them out. And so the other things, I stuck with them for a while. Even though when I go out and market, I still only talk about real estate for a long time. That's what was happening. And I tried to build other parts of my firm and through different types of strategies. And it wasn't until I really got into a coaching program that told me I better niche down, sure. Was that I doubled down, I tripled down. And there is some pains that go along with that because you lose some of those income streams while you're trying to grow something else. But I wouldn't have been able to grow my real estate practice without niching down and focusing just on that and just going all in on that one thing.
So what made you decide to do that? Because I think a lot of people watching, and I probably, this is relevant to both attorneys and, like I said, realtors. Mm-hmm. And I know you speak, and we'll get to this in a second, but you speak with a lot of realtors who, they're hesitant to say I focus on one specific area or one type of real estate, and they'll say, no, I can handle anything. And I know you probably have an opinion on that, but one of the things a lot of people probably feel is that I can't do that because I have, I don't have enough income coming in from that one source, so I don't want to give up that other source. So what was it for you that maybe a moment of clarity that you saw, okay, to get to the next level, I need to only focus on one thing?
It was really the fact that I was getting stuck doing all those extra things and I couldn't spend my time to grow my business. So if I'm stuck doing the legal work for things that my staff can't help me with, then I didn't have time to do any marketing. I didn't have time to do other things, right? And really the systems and everything were being built for a real estate practice. And it's you have to build, not that you can't have more than one thing you do, but you really can't build two things at the same time. And I think that's the key, right? Because I think maybe one day if you build a bigger team, our firms can do other things, right? But at this point, what your baby is and what my baby is that, right? I do real estate, you do probate, and that's where our passion is, that's where our team is, that's where everything is. So how can we really focus on anything else at this point?
Sure. So how would you, I guess kind of now talking specifically to realtors, because again, I've said we work with a lot of realtors in the probate and obviously closings. How do you tell, or I guess why would you tell a realtor to focus on one area, and what would that look like?
So two of my biggest recommendations always to realtor is, one is to niche in a specific geographical area, if nothing else. Don't say you work in Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade, because the reality is the time it's going to take you for that small little deal down in Miami, if you're in North Broward, is really going to be more cost to you than anything else. Sure. It's going to be time on the road, time being wasted that you could be prospecting and following up with your really strong local leads. So there's that, and then obviously outsourcing help, which everyone can benefit from, any type of business owner, right? Not doing things that you can have other people help you do. So I think definitely geographic is one thing, and then we could talk about actually other specific type of property niching. So whether it's first-time home buyers, or if you're a strong listing agent, or if you deal with foreign nationals coming in to buy a second home, there's so many other ways you can niche your real estate business, and you could have more than one. It's just you need to be careful that you're not running yourself crazy all over the place and then not able to be focusing on growing.
So I think
and realtors have a beautiful thing that you can get a referral fee by referring out to another agent. So having a good network of colleagues around in different areas is a great way to still get a piece of the pie without having to do the work. And if you count your profitability of going up to Boynton or Dadeland, if you're in Fort Lauderdale, there's actually, it probably is going to make you more money just to refer it out.
Yeah, especially here in South Florida. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. You can't, you know, the amount of time you just spend in your car really going 5 miles is crazy. I mean, just traffic.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be, you know, an expert in that specific area. So, you know, I think it makes sense, geographic areas. That's why a lot of people will try to stay within some sort of area, whether it's, again, if you're in South Florida, Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach. But how do you, within that, apart from geography, how would you tell a realtor to niche down even further? Because I know sometimes you'll be speaking with a realtor and they'll say, I do some residential and I do some commercial, which I think are probably two very distinct things.
Yes, for sure.
So that's an easy, but even within those there's a lot of subsets within each of those. What would you tell a realtor and how would they start focusing on just one little area?
Okay, that's a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see. The first question is like how different types of niching, right? So even within residential, we spoke about first-time home buyers. So that's one way to service a client because they need certain types of things. I think the biggest reason why you should be doing it is because you're going to be recreating the wheel every single time you have a new client if you're going to go in these different genres of real estate, right? So commercial is extremely different than residential, in terms of how things are being done, and then there's the issue of the type of client who you're dealing with. There's the what they need from you as an agent, what they need from the transaction, what they're looking for, and what you're able to provide. So recreating the wheel really just takes up so much of your time, right? And then sometimes if you're taking something that you don't really know well, it's going to take up so much time just to figure it out. And that's, for the legal industry, that's super huge, right? Yeah. If you're taking something you don't know how to do, it's going to take so long to make sure you're doing it properly, because you don't want to half-ass anything. You know what I mean? I don't know. I say those things. So. Yeah. You don't want to half-ass something that, because your reputation's on the line. So it's sometimes just better giving it away or referring it out. And you're giving better service to them. You're still, as a realtor, still able to take a piece of the pie in that way. And
So what about maybe two suggestions, or so one maybe for a brand new realtor, because I know, you know, I don't know how many new realtors there are, but there's a lot. Yeah. You know, it's a popular industry, obviously. So what would you tell a new realtor? You know, maybe if you have any suggestions as an area to focus on, and then also within that, for more experienced realtors, as a very experienced title attorney, doing a lot of real estate, are you seeing any area that you like for realtors to focus in on?
So let me do the second question first for the experienced realtors. I think that there's a lot of niches. So you just got to see where you are already at. Like, what do you already see a lot of? What have you experienced as an individual? I've seen some agents who've gone through divorce and had to sell and buy their own home and have that personal experience through it, and are able to really resonate and talk from experience, which when you're telling your story, you're always able to, I think, sell your business and yourself better. So there's always that. You should have a somewhat of a connection to what you're niching if you can, right? So I know an agent that she went through and had to sell several of her family members that passed away their home, and then now she's turned that into a niche in helping others go through the probate process and help them, you know, clean out the house and kind of provide that service that people that don't always do that type of a work would know or think about doing. So those, and I would say
so focus on something that you have experience in.
I think that it's an easy sell, right? Yeah. If you can speak from experience. When talking to a client, when you're or a potential client, when you're sitting down, I think it's always a better sell, right?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Because we're always trying to sell something, right?
You can relate. It's relatable.
That's legal, and legal in general. There's a lot of niches you could look at in general, right? There was the foreclosure market, which was a big one. Probate, divorce. Those are all big areas of law that people are in transition, and therefore real estate becomes in transition. Sure. So looking at those transitional times of someone's life is a great way to do that. young families where they're upgrading, knowing the school zones and all that stuff,
Right.
providing those kind of resources. That's a niche in and of itself. But seeing what you already have, and just so you can build off of what you're already doing, since you're an experienced agent. For a newer agent, and you're looking to farm somewhere, right? Then I think that's a key, is like doubling down and not being afraid to say, I do this. Because I think as newer agents or newer lawyers or newer business owners, we don't want to turn stuff away. And not that you have to turn stuff away, but don't be afraid to say, I'm the expert at this and this is why.
Right.
And go and do those things that, go in those type of networking events to meet those people in that sphere. For example, if you want to, there's groups like National Association of Divorce Professionals, NADP, you can go network at those types of events. There's investor events. You can create events for first-time home buyers, or you can go to events in the industry about certain types of niches and learn more about them, so how you can expand. Even within commercial, there's commercial leasing, there's certain types of properties, there's hotels, there's warehouses,
Right.
There's vacant land. By showing that you're an expert in one thing, it already gives you credibility to sell other things, right?
Yeah, and I think one thing that I kind of picked up on, which I know this has been my experience too. You might not know, if you're a brand new realtor, even if you're experienced and you've just kind of been taking a bunch of different cases, there's something you like more than the other.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a process. So when you're a brand new realtor, you might not have the luxury to say, I only do this, because again, you gotta feed the family, pay rent, and all of that. But I think, and it sounded like from your experience, when you started out, you realized family wasn't really for you, and so you're able to kind of put that aside. So I think, you might not know exactly, I like this more than the other, but that will start to kind of come up. And
Right.
then the sooner you can get more stuff off your plate and focus in on one, it sounds like that's where the money's at, I guess.
Right. And that when you really like to do something, it shows.
It's less work.
It's less work.
Yeah.
You enjoy it more. It shows. And I think that people see that, and then they relate to that, and they resonate with it, and they're more likely to hire you or refer to you, or etc.
So, kind of wrapping up. So how do we, I know put you on the spot here. So no shortage of title companies, no
Right.
shortage of real estate attorneys. And I know are very successful, been very successful. You get out there a lot. How would you, to all of, the agents out there, how do you differentiate yourself? Because I think that's, in my business as well. There's a ton of people who do what I do, and we have to find a way to kind of stand out. So how do you do that? What kind of differentiates you from others?
I have a handful of things that I think that makes my team and I special in the real estate world, or from what I'm told from
Sure.
others.
Don't be modest. You can brag. That's fine.
One of my favorite things that we're doing nowadays, or we've been doing, is what we call managing the deal. And we've always did this. I just didn't realize I was doing this until somebody pointed it out to me. So I tell the agents that I work with, and all the agents who want to work with us, just get us under contract, and I got you. And what does that mean? It means I got you. Go out and find other business. Let me handle the deal. We manage your deadlines. We manage your addendum. We manage everything that comes after to help you have more time to work, your new leads, your buyers that you're showing, your listings that you're trying to sell. Because at the end of the day, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? If I help you with the paperwork, you're able to go out and generate more business. And then it's like that beautiful kind of circular thing that I love to do with my agents. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things that now I'm talking about in work, because I realize that, that's what I'm doing. So
just
might
take
as well
everything off of their plate, pretty much.
Exactly. That I'm able to do, right?
Sure.
As a law firm and as a title attorney. So we take those things off your plate so that you have more time to generate more business. We also are really big on communication and follow-up. So everyone gets a weekly Wednesday update from us. Every single file gets touched by the entire team on Wednesday. We talk about it, we work out, we follow up what's still pending. It makes sure nothing falls through the cracks. It makes sure lenders, buyers, sellers, and their agents all know what's going on, so that we're all on the same page and that everyone feels that they're being kept in the loop. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's nothing worse than being in a transaction and not knowing what's going on. So communication is key, I think, in real estate transactions. And we speak 5 languages at the office, so we're very well...
what languages?
Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English.
All right.
So we're able to help a lot of different people. and make, even if they speak English, sometimes they just feel comfortable having a certain language around, right?
Yeah, sure.
And just feeling that they know who they're dealing with. And so those are a few of the things. We do have a money back guarantee for the people that haven't worked with us and for the people that have worked with us. If we are so confident that your clients will be happy with our services, that if they're not, we do not charge a settlement fee. And our prices are very competitive.
Huge. You put it out there.
I put it out there. Yeah. Money where my mouth is.
There you go. You did it.
I say it all the time. Awesome. It's on you.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay. So all great things. So I guess last thing to kind of summarize, what would you advise someone? What piece of advice would you give somebody who's maybe still hesitant, that they don't know that they want to stop doing one thing and focus in on just one or two areas, either to the realtor or the attorney?
So one of the things that I've learned and say a lot now is, you know what you got to do, so just do it. Every type of coaching, every type of book out there, they all say to focus in on things. You know you got to do it, so just do it. Don't like that. That's like just do it.
Just do it.
It's like Nike commercial. I don't know.
All right.
That's like when it's like we know what we need to do to grow, so just do it.
Okay, perfect. And so, how can they find you and contact you?
Awesome. Grimaldi Law Firm is on Facebook and on Instagram. You could also follow me, my personal name, Melinda Grimaldi, on both of those as well. I talk a lot of real estate and business on both of those sites. And our firm is www.realestatelawfl.com. I went all in on that website too.
There you go. Awesome.
And we're happy to connect.
All right. Thank you, Melinda. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.